Test, test. Test, test. Can anybody see the stream? Oh, okay. So you can actually see this. Can you still see the stream? Okay. So I guess YouTube is just not going to show me preview. That's fine. I'll at least leave the chat up, hopefully. Neat. Okay, cool. In that case, yeah, I guess maybe I'll go ahead and get started. Hi, I'm Kate Compton. It's been 3 years since I've streamed. So I'm better known as Galaxy Kate Online. And today I'm going to be kind of following up on something that I accidentally started. I have a great habit of accidentally starting things. There was Feminist Hacker Barbie, which was made by the excellent Kathleen Toot, based on some complaints that I made about the Barbie game developer book. And she took that and ran and made this like wonderful new application where you could submit your own cool headlines for what Hacker Barbie should actually be doing. And recently I had this one go viral. Here it is. And sometimes I get frustrated when I compare arts and tech salaries, but look, I'm not saying that we're the problem. I'm saying that the exchange rate is in our favor, and somebody with FANG salary could literally commission their own opera once per year. And as you can see, this got super viral. And let me just, I really do want Google to keep this, my stream chat visible. Okay, there we go. So yeah, it went super viral. That was really neat. In my notes, I have kind of where it went from there. There you go. So Linnea Gregg then took this and turned it into a viral TikTok, which you can see where she kind of reads and responds to it. So as you can see, my original one, there we go, got like lots of retweets and likes, and then hers went even more like super viral. So I have, how many comments? I don't know, a bunch of comments, and she has like 1,000 comments on hers. So that was like pretty neat. And she works in, I think she's a production in theater. And so she was really interested in this and started actually like making her own hand-authored Wix site where she was kind of like manually uploading people's things that they are curious about making or things that they would like to have made, and just basically like putting people into contact with each other. So that was really neat. And then she reached out to me and said like, hey, yeah, TikTok viral is a whole different beast. There are so many people on TikTok and I don't know who any of them are. I am old and therefore I'm on Twitter barely. But yeah, you can see it like, even just kind of starting off on a hand-authored site where she has to manually upload everything, she's still able to like get people connecting. So the thought was like, okay, this actually seems kind of doable. Like as a software engineering project, like we can kind of think, what is this going to need? It's going to need a database. It's going to need some place like some way for people to upload their artist profiles and their patronage things that they want. But like, fortunately, I think we can actually do a lot of this stuff kind of off this page. So I don't think we need to handle money. I think money gets handled kind of as an agreement between these two people off the site somewhere. I don't want to be a bank. I don't want to start like having to deal with cash. We also might not even need to do DMs. Like if people have their contact information up, that's probably good enough for now. Later on, we might want something where people could have a little bit more privacy, and so they like don't have to reveal their full information on the site. But like, this isn't a dating site. For the most part, people are going to be sharing, you know, like, hey, I'm a professional film developer. Here's my website. Here's my email address, because you should know like about me, the film director. So as you can see, you've got like lots of people like posting their LinkedIns. So yeah, there's definitely going to be like some storage of data, but we don't actually need to like do a lot of the hard work of running kind of a high risk sort of like Patreon style thing. So this is really just about like matchmaking, and then people are going to go off on their own. So it's actually got like a little bit more in common with something like a dating site where, yes, you want to connect people, but then hopefully they form their own connections, and you, the dating site, don't actually need to come along on the date with people. And so what happens on the date is really kind of their business. So yeah, today I thought I would just try to like figure out how far we can get in kind of replicating a lot of the work that Linnea has done. And as part of that, just kind of testing my speed again on making a social network, because it's been a little while since I streamed, although I did actually make a social network for the class that I taught last quarter, and that was social AR VR. So I made a very rudimentary social network for my 90 students so they could all hang out in VR together. Because I was doing all web-based VR, because Unity and Oculus and Facebook are kind of gross and I didn't want to use them. So this will be kind of my presentation of how I think the simplest possible way to make a social network is, without getting into a lot of like how to do it right. I also I don't like to have like package managers. I don't like to like compile stuff. I don't use TypeScript. So this will be kind of like, what can you do with kind of the most vanilla JavaScript, treating a lot of these big frameworks basically as like utility libraries. So not letting anybody kind of like take over the project. Okay. So I guess we will start with, so I'll close these up. I'll make one empty. There we go. So we'll keep that for actually making this site. These are just my notes of what we're going to be working on. So here we are. I'm going to call it SpeedPatron for now. It may well have another name at some point. But SpeedPatron is good enough. So currently it contains my notes, and it contains index.html. So index.html, you can see we've actually got a lot of stuff in here. So I can rename this to SpeedPatron. I do like to have a Latin quote for any of my prototype sites. If somebody wants to find a Latin quote that they think is relevant to the site, I'm happy to paste that in from chat. But I won't take time out for that. And then I have a Firebase config for another app. I'm not sure. Let's see if that Firebase config is currently active. Oh, and then a couple of other things. I have a UID library that we probably won't actually need. Vue, this is Vue 2, and it is stored locally. I could get it from a CDN. I'm just a control freak, and so I have my own like locally saved copy, or actually I don't, because I haven't created my, I'll create my JavaScript folder. Inside of JavaScript, I will create, oops, that's the wrong one. New folder, there we go. Vendor, if you haven't done web development before, vendor is usually where you put a lot of like kind of external libraries that you've had. And I'm going to steal some stuff from another project I'm working on. I'm just going to, let's see, what do I want in here? I want UID and Vue, and that's good enough. There we go. Okay, so now we've got those. Notice that I am getting then, oh, and we don't need code mirror, that's for a different project. Okay. The rest of this stuff, so here's some Firebase stuff. Firebase is great. It's a Google product. It used to be a non-Google product, but then it got bought. And it is kind of an all-in-one, one-stop shopping for things that you might need to develop an app. So they will, if we go to Firebase, we can see all the stuff that they will advertise to us that they can do. So like products, we can see all the different things that Firebase will do of like remote config, real-time databases, authentication, hosting, cloud messaging, machine learning. They also have like tons of different stuff for analytics, OSS building, releasing and monitoring, engage, so like A/B testing, analytics, and all the stuff of the modern web that like is kind of advanced spyware. So we can just leave that aside. So to include Firebase, you have to say I want Firebase. So I'm using a slightly older version of Firebase, again, because I don't like what they've done. So like Vue 2 to Vue 3, they made it much more modern web, much more modular. Technically, it works better in certain ways, but it becomes kind of more of a colossal headache to use it casually. So they're like they're doing this thing that I hate in libraries, which is they were this smaller, faster, lighter alternative to React, because React was like a super heavy duty framework, and they're like, oh, we'll be so much lighter than that. And then they're starting to like, because they were used by big apps, they're starting to do more and more stuff to kind of service large companies and like proper software development. And so they're becoming less and less useful for what I want them for. Likewise, Firebase used to be super easy to set up, and like later versions of Firebase, they've been making it like more and more modern and more difficult to kind of set up in this traditional web way. But this, at least, I keep these like links, they're keeping these links running. And so this allows me to get like Firebase. So you get Firebase app, that's what like creates your main app. And then you have additional imports for any of these kind of additional products that you want to import. So things that I need a database, I need someplace to store my data, and then I may or may not want like authorization. So like people can log in and see if like somebody has posted new things that they want to patronize. Okay, so let's see. Let's see if Jamboree I'm using for a different thing. Let's see if we can just like reuse that, or if it is currently... here we go. Yeah, real-time database. Okay, so here's the real-time database of, this is an IDE editor that I'm making. It's happy to share space with Spite Patron for the moment. You can see we're currently, if anybody in the next 15 minutes was able to figure out a way to mine Bitcoin on Firebase, they could do that on this stream because it is going to be unprotected as part of a development thing. And let's see, we can change our rules. I don't know when our rules expire, so let's find out when this UTF, or this date stamp to date. When does this expire? Okay, it expired yesterday, so we want to increase it slightly. Let's see, human date to date stamp. Let's have it expire. Close enough, okay. I think I want this one. Let's just verify. Yep, that'll be in 2 days. So this is how Firebase decides whether or not you have read-write access to your database. So this is our database. It lives in the cloud. This is great because we don't have to worry about running our own server. So like Firebase's really initial big proposal was, hey, what if you don't run your own server? What if you just like host all the data for your app in the cloud? Because running a server is just deeply unpleasant. You have to write a slightly different kind of JavaScript in Node, which is better than it used to be, where you used to have to write things in, I don't know, probably like Perl or something, PHP. I forget what servers used to be written in. But even so now, like, it's kind of like switching your brain onto a different track, and you have to write like your server code and your client-side code. But if you're really just like, hey, hold this data for me, then this actually works really well. There are actually 2 different products that Google Firebase has for you for databases. Actually, there's like 4. There is the real-time database, and there is Firestore. Firestore is slightly more efficient and has some other properties. There's like whole like, should I use Firestore versus real-time database? And yeah, people like at Google will tell you like, oh, which, like, there's particularly complicated things here. And honestly, the big decider for me is that real-time database, everything is basically just a giant JSON object. And so it's just like structured like a giant JSON object. Firestore, slightly more efficient, represents everything as collections, and I'm not quite sure how to understand that in my head. So I use real-time database because it's easy. But you have to decide, like, okay, who's allowed to read and write my stuff? Because I'm in the, like, I'm just somebody on the web. If I'm working locally, there's just some machine that's, if shenanigans happen, they will probably be limited. So if you're on the stream, please do not try to mine Bitcoin on my account. Okay, so that should be enough. All right, now we can figure out if we can actually, like, log into Firebase. All right, so here we go. Here's our index.html. So we've loaded whatever libraries we want. Probably do other stuff later, but let's just see if, like, so script type equals modules. Don't ask me what a module is. It's just a new way of running HTML or JavaScript in HTML. But Firebase needs it in that way to connect. So hopefully if we run this site, it's going to say connecting to Firebase. It's going to put in all of this data of, like, here's how you connect to that Firebase thing. It's nice because this is not secure. This does not have to be secure. I can show this comfortably on stream. If anybody else pastes this into their website can also access my Firebase. But it's also just as part of my HTML, so anybody who, like, browsed the source of my HTML page would also be able to see this. So it's just understood by Firebase that, like, this part is insecure, that's okay. The security is all going to be handled by these rules. Where later on you'll say, like, okay, you can only change your own posts if you are logged in as the person who made the posts, things like that. You can only delete all the things if you're logged in as an administrator. So we're going to try to, and we'll just come out all this stuff for the moment. And let's see if we can load this. There are lots of ways to load a web page. You could create a local server. So there's, if you ever get into, like, cross-site scripting errors, there's certain things that you're only allowed to do if you are running a hosted HTML page, which is slightly different than what I'm going to do, which is dragging it directly into the browser. So I have now dragged it directly into the browser. It's able to do about, like, 95% of the things that I want it to do. We can see that, in fact, connected to Firebase. So this is, like, the lowest effort way to see your web page is to just open it in a browser. There are certain gotchas later on, but mostly that doesn't bother us. So there's, like, a right way to do this, which requires more setup, and a wrong way, which is going to work out fine for us. So that's kind of the theme of the way that I do web development is, like, you don't have to. Whenever it's getting complicated, probably you don't have to. All right, so here we are, and we have, in fact, connected to Firebase. So Firebase configured, or rather, it's not actually connected to Firebase yet, so now we'll try initializing Firebase. Actually, we'll just do this bit. So this says, Firebase, please make an app with our Firebase config. So please, like, let yourself know that you are part of an app. So hopefully, yep, Firebase init. And now we can do different things about, like, what Firebase is allowed to do. So we can say, hey, how about we try to sign in anonymously? In Firebase, there is all sorts of different stuff. Let's see, project overview. So I can say, like, oh, I think I want to add authentication to this. So notice that we've already got some, like, users who have signed in anonymously, because this was when I was testing Jamboree, which is a different project that I'm working on. So currently everybody's signing in anonymously. This is based on what's called fingerprinting. So it is fingerprinting your computer, but it's also, actually, no, I don't think it's fingerprinting. I think it is just, actually, let's find out. So we're going to try to sign in anonymously and see if this pops up. Signed in anonymously. Oh, I bet it's so I bet it's still using my existing sign in, because if you ever want to know where your cookies are, they're under application, local storage. And we can see that in fact we have some Firebase stuff in here. And we have a bunch of stuff from my other thing. So we can just delete all, oops. Can I not delete this? Local storage. File. Okay, yep. So now I've removed all of my local storage, so I can run this again. And I'm going to guess that if I refresh this, nope. Usually Firebase like puts a cookie on my computer that I can see, and I wonder why it's just not like updating what I can see. Oh, no. It's local storage, session storage. It's usually right in here. So we'll see if that shows up. It does say that I have logged in, so let's see if we can see more stuff about my login. So did it say that I've logged in anonymously? Okay, so I've signed in anonymously. Oh, and that should hopefully change my auth state. So you can also create a listener that says, okay, Firebase authentication, I'm going to create an on-auth state changed, and that's going to pass in a user. And this will fire whether or not I'm logging in anonymously, or you can see that like in authentication, I can provide all these new different sign-in methods. So if you need to sign in with your Yahoo account, we can make that happen. So each of these has kind of their own setup method that is honestly pretty annoying. But if you want to do that like little pop-up thing where it's like, oh, sign in with like Facebook or whatever, you can do that. All right. So hopefully, okay. So now hopefully I have logged in as a user. So let's print out this user. There you go. So this is like not super useful, but I do think that there is, what is it, ID? Let's see. Oh, and you can see there are useful things in here. It might give me your phone number, a URL to your profile pic. So like if you logged in with something that has a profile pic, it'll actually give me a link to your profile pic so that I can like use your Google profile pic as part of my site. We are anonymous. There's no email. There's no display name. So again, this is anonymous. There's lots of useful stuff here. There's usually like, oh, there we go, UID. So UID is useful. This tells us basically like, is this the same person that we've seen before? Still not seeing anything in local storage. I wonder why. Okay. So if I needed to say like, okay, and actually like, let's say that now we want to start writing something to our Facebook. We've got a user who's logged in, and maybe we want to like keep track of the users who are logged in. So now I have to remember how to do this. Fortunately, Firebase has really actually surprisingly excellent documentation. Let's see. Here we go, saving data. All right, you want to make sure that you are in real-time database and that you are looking at a web, because again, there's a lot of different ways to handle this. So you can say get started, create a database. Most of this is not relevant to us because, oh wait, no, we do need to have a reference to, so everything is done kind of with these like little functions. It's okay. So I could say, actually, yeah, once I've logged in, let's go ahead and create the database. And console.log, I have a database. All right, and then we will try to write some data. I have to remember how to do that. Okay, so we get the database reference. And then let's see. Oh, right. Ref.whatever.set. So often I'll say, so it's this kind of like reference. So let's create a, actually let's, yeah, so users/user ID. So this will, hopefully, we don't have a user folder yet. It's going to create us a user folder automatically. This is a really nice thing about Firebase. If you give it a long path, it's going to go ahead and kind of create that JavaScript in the cloud. So database.ref. Yep. So that's our const user ref is equal to that. And then we can say user ref dot set. And then we can create all sorts of useful information about ourselves. So let's say display name, since we don't have a display name. Kate. Everybody gets the display name Kate. This is an all Kate network. All right, so hopefully if we run this, it will create Kate in our database. Oh, user ID is not defined. 50, oh, here we go. Const user ID is equal to user.uid, so unique identifier. Okay, cool. I have a database, and let's see if I have appeared in the database. Aha, we have a new user directory that just showed up, and we have a new user who's appeared, and we in fact have Kate there. So this is about how easy it is to start saving data in Firebase. If I then want to set or read some data, I can do things like, let's see. Read and write data. So there's lots of different ways to read data. So this is probably the most common one, is basically you become a subscriber. So this is like a pub sub model. If you're not familiar with that term, pub sub means publish and subscribe. This is the idea that rather than like me pinging a server saying like, hey, is there a change? Is there a change? Is there a change? I'm going to say, here's kind of a link to this client. When something changes, tell this client that something has changed, and then like call a function. So it allows you to kind of like respond instantaneously to stuff. The real-time database is surprisingly instantaneous. So I have in fact used it for animation code for like people walking around a level. And it gives you like continuous updates that are like not actually even close to breaking past like the free tier on Firebase. So it's a pretty generous free tier. Okay, so let's see, we get our reference and we subscribe to the value, and then we pass in a snapshot. So user ref dot on, and if anything changes, please, let's see, what do we get? We get back a snapshot. Something has changed. And then I can say console.log snapshot.value. I think. Oh, .val. There we go. Okay. And this will tell me that something has changed, whether or not like I'm the person who changed it, whether or not one of the other users has changed it, or as we'll see, whether or not I changed it like here in this real-time database thing. So, or the console. Yeah, it's called the real-time database console. Okay, so here we have Spite Patron. I'm going to refresh it. Oop. User.ref on... Oh, on value. I have to tell it what it's listening to. So you are listening to the value. There's also, I think, a couple other ones for if it's like deleted, because technically deleting it does not count as changing the value. So you have to listen separately to if you want to detect that like somebody has vanished from the database. Okay. There we go. Oh, and look, it actually like runs once even if something hasn't changed. That's kind of interesting. Oh, I wonder if that's because I'm setting something. So what if I don't set this here? Does that... Nope, I guess it does that regardless. Okay. So I guess value always runs at least once. There are also ways to say, like, just read this thing once and don't subscribe to it, but honestly, that's usually not that useful. Like, if something is changing, for the most part, you don't want to, like, read it once, you want to subscribe to it. Okay. So now, hopefully I've got my Spike Patron in here, and then if I open up this real-time database, and I change it to Rourke. Hi, Rourke. And you can see something has changed. So I've just like heard that there was a change for this user. So now we have a second user, and if I change it back to Kate, you can see that something has changed. So and like, look how instantaneous that was. So yeah, that's like, so now we have a database. That's great. We can read and write from our database, and we get instantaneous updates from our database. So that's database checked off. All right, now we should probably do something about this gaping blank site. We should probably like put a site on this site. All right, so this is when we start to use Vue. So this whole bit was just Firebase. Firebase and Vue go together super beautifully. Because as you've seen with Firebase, it's very event-based. Like, you're subscribing to stuff is changing. You're going to call a function when stuff changes. Maybe you're going to keep stuff in sync with what's in the cloud. And then Vue is all about declaratively rendering web pages. So saying, here's a web page. This web page is going to be built out of different components depending on how many users there are. And if I notice the users change on the local data structure, then I'm going to change that website to match. And so you have Vue that changes your local data object. The local data object changes. Vue says, oh, I should change. And Vue changes. Vue gets a UI like interaction, changes that local data structure. That tells Firebase to like update something. So it like is like beautifully harmonic. So they are the peanut butter and jelly of lazy ass social network developers. All right. So let's create app.js. And we should reasonably put that into JavaScript. Okay. So here we are. And I will want to first include that. So I think I should be able to include it in a way that like it doesn't quite matter where it's being included. I think as long as I keep like some of my libraries above it, but mostly like I'm going to show you what we're going to do, which is to not actually run stuff we care about until this whole ding-dang thing is loaded. So it's going to load the entire page before it actually like starts to run our proper JavaScript. Okay. So our source is, let's see, js/app.js. Hi, I'm a web page. All right. Hi, I'm a web page. Notice that loaded first. So that ran first. Now what are we going to do? So one thing that's a big gotcha is if I then said, oh, you know, in this JavaScript, I want to start manipulating stuff that's on my page. If we examine this, we can see that we've got a head and a body. So this is the DOM document object model. I've got this app div. I might want to start putting stuff in the app div. If I tried to start modifying that right now, it would say, hey, there's no app div. And that's because it loads in order. So it's going to start creating all of these DOM elements, including importing the script. And it doesn't actually get around to creating that app div until all the way down at the bottom. So it's pretty common to not do stuff kind of in your base JavaScript, but to wait until the document loads. So on load JavaScript, I always forget how to do this. There's lots of different ways. Okay, here we go. There's 100 small ways to do this, all that have like slightly different variants. And why are these all weird? All right, fine. I'll copy from somewhere else. Okay, here we go, app.js. Oh, no, why are you opening in something weird? I installed Spider, and of course Spider has to change everything. Apps are so bad. Okay. Please always load this with Sublime Text. Oh, actually, I have to probably change it on... Yep, it's not changing all the properties. Okay. Get info. Never install software. It's a mistake. Alright. Change all. Yes. Please change. Just load everything with Sublime Text. Sublime Text is such an unfussy friend. Okay. Here we go. So here we have my other app.js. I'm going to steal. Here we go. Window.onload. And that's all we actually want from that. We don't even need the event. There's like a subtle difference between window and document.onload, and I don't know what it is. Oh, go away, Spider. And of course now it has to freeze. Quit. Okay. Alright, so now hopefully we can go back and notice I'm a web page. It does a whole bunch of stuff, and then the whole document has loaded. So now we are clear to screw around with this web page as much as we want. Just out of curiosity, I'm going to see how many people are on stream. You want to actually tell me this, Google? Okay, 3 random folks are watching, possibly which includes me. All right, so now we're going to start making the site. Okay, so Vue has slightly changed the way that it works in Vue 3. This is for Vue 2. So Vue, let's see, new Vue. So you're actually going to create a Vue object. And then that takes 1 argument. Vue, most of its arguments are kind of giant long dictionaries or giant long JavaScript objects. So this one, there's 2 really important parts. There's the template, and we can use these backticks to make a multi-line string. And there's the element, which tells you which element Vue is going to control. And this is usually, I think, just a selector, like a CSS selector. And as we saw before, there is an ID app, so that means I can give it app. And hopefully this will just use Vue and give Vue control over this. And then Vue knows to fill that in with hello. And there it is. There's our web page, dynamically controlled by Vue. All right. Now we probably want to actually give it access to some data. So now we have to figure out how to get the user that just logged in. And this part is always a little bit fiddly, so let's see if I can remember a useful way to do this. Okay, so here we are doing all this user creation stuff, like user references. So I think, let's see, we'll probably make some sort of shared object. So let IO is equal to so there's a user that's undefined. Oops. Don't save. There we go. And there'll probably be some other stuff eventually. But right now we're just going to keep our user in here. Okay. So now when we load this and we have the user logs in, there's probably more sensible places to put this, but okay, as soon as the user logs in and the user's value changes, how about io.user, can we just do this? It's probably going to come back to bite us at some point. because this will overwrite any other stuff we put on the user. Actually, how about, can I extend in JavaScript? The trouble is I switch between JavaScript and Python all the time, so I have to like remember what I can do in which. Okay. No, that's not what I want. Object to assign. Sorry, there's a fly. Okay. Yeah. I think it is object dot assign the things that we want to assign all the properties to, and then any of the new properties. Okay, let's see if that changes things. Oh, can't convert. Let's see. Okay, so user is undefined. Oh, right, that means that I need to probably like set the user to an empty object. Okay, so now I have a user that is, let's see, what is snapshot.val? Snapshot.val is this. Why is there an additional user under user? Oh, right. It's because I was printing out IO, and IO contains user, and that contains... Okay, so everything was working as normal. I just got confused. Okay. So that means that now we should have an IO where the user object is becoming modified based on whatever we get from Firebase. What does that matter? It means that now we can use this user object in Vue. So Vue doesn't automatically get access to all the rest of your JavaScript. So Vue is fairly contained. It's not allowed to use stuff that it doesn't have access to. We have to intentionally give it access to it with a data function. And this is going to return an object of all the stuff we can use in Vue. So for example, I want you to have access to IO, so how about you just contain IO? So now I can just refer to IO. So this is called mustache syntax here. We're going to fill in what's inside of this. And notice that I have IO in here. Vue does a lot of stuff with kind of parsing out these templates. And as part of the parsing the templates, it's going to notice that there's mustache syntax in here. It's going to notice that it's calling for something called IO. It's going to have a whole bunch of different places to look for IO. It's going to look for it in data. It could also look for it in methods. It can also like dynamically compute stuff. But it's going to return whichever one it finds. So hopefully this will just print out. Oops. Data function should return an object. Oh, right. That's not an object. This is an object. Vue is pretty helpful at like telling you what's going wrong. All right, and notice that it is now pasted in this stuff. Okay, why did the... Oh, right. Notice that it didn't change this. It's supposed to update it, but Vue only has... Oh, it's called mustache syntax because if you look at this sideways, it looks like a mustache. Excellent question, Rourke. Okay, so a trick about Vue is that, at least in Vue 2, View doesn't notice when we add new properties. It only watches the properties that existed when it first got access. So there's a user, but the user doesn't have an ID, so it's not watching the ID. So it doesn't notice when the ID has changed. So we do, in fact, have to start with this. Oh, why is it not noticing? All right. So display name has, wait, index 60. So the snapshot of val. Oh, display name. All right, we did not actually change the user ID, so we might want to do that. So io.user is also, let's see. Oh, here we are. When we log in, okay, so when we log in, I'm going to say io.user or io.user.id is equal to user ID, so it's going to set that, and hopefully Vue will be watching for it. And then also, let's see, and then when you change, we're going to change the, oh right, it was display name, so we're going to be watching for display name, so that means that Vue needs to have a display name. We'll go Odyssey style. Their display name is nobody. Aha, there we go. So did you notice that little pop there where it was briefly nobody and then it filled it out with our ID and our display name? Actually, I'll call this UID just to be specific about what it is. There we go. Okay, great. So we have, in fact, some stuff that is getting loaded from Firebase. All right, so now we're going to start kind of modifying some of that. So hello, hi-oh. So yeah, now we can start kind of like sketching out our site. So we've got like our site. I'm going to keep that ID is equal to app. Vue erases all of the ID stuff from whatever it like builds its little nest inside of, so you do have to add that back in. Okay, so there's an app. I'm just going to set this up kind of the way that I normally do, which is there's going to be a header. And the header might have like a title. Actually, let's put div. And then like some controls. All right, and then a div that contains, let's see, so this will be content. Oh, and because I don't want to mess around with CSS, I'm going to steal a CSS from an existing project that has roughly the same setup. Steal more from Jamboree. All right. I'm just kind of copy paste this. All right. Byte patron. Make a folder for CSS. There you go. Okay. Got a folder for CSS. Now we actually have to load that. And because I always forget how to do that, we'll steal from Jamboree again. Yay. Sharing is caring. Okay, now we have at least kind of notice that we have a little header up here, and we can start adding stuff into the header. So we could, give ourselves a title. This is called Spite Patron. It needs a better name for it, but Spite Patron is what we're going for. Oops. Why is that weird? H3 div header. Oh, header doesn't need to be 10 pixels tall. That's silly. I was probably testing something. There we go. Okay, so Spite Patron, and we've got some room for stuff. And we might have, let's see, we can have some buttons up here. And actually these might be like links, like, hey, href, this is something. So we browse patrons, browse artists. And actually, I don't know if I want to do like patrons and artists, but more like proposals. So maybe I'll just say like browse proposals. So these are both kind of people who are proposing to each other. And I might be proposing that I can design you tattoos, but also proposing that I would like to hire somebody to make music for me. So there's not like a class of artists and a class of patrons. There's just like a bunch of people proposing stuff. So maybe it's just like we're just going to browse proposals. Oh. Is it ID controls? How did I set this up? See, justify content space between. Okay, now that kind of like pushes things out to different areas. Okay, just fussing with CSS. I don't want to make this into a CSS talk because you can go forever on CSS. Okay, so we've got Spite Patron and we can browse proposals. And I guess probably also make a proposal. And maybe as part of that, we can also like manage existing proposals. Yeah, Rourke, I like it when like the concepts that I'm like operating on, I think I've got two separate concepts and then they kind of like merge back into one. It's like folding a fitted sheet where like suddenly everything folds a little bit smoother. Okay. So I don't know how we'll actually implement these buttons, but it does make sense that like, okay, maybe now we'll just like try making some widgets. So in Vue, you can make a lot of cool widgets, or rather Vue, you can make what are called components. So I could say, okay, there's also a new, a Vue.component. And this will basically give Vue access to a new HTML component that it's never had before. So it currently has divs and headers and buttons and all sorts of stuff. And instead, we're going to give it a new component, and we can kind of create the component we want. Okay, so call this make proposal. So this will be a widget that allows you to make proposal. And just like before, it's going to be this like, so it's got its string of what kind of tag it's, or what kind of component it's going to be. And then it's got another template. And that's all we need for the moment. So now we can say, okay, I'm just going to put one of these in the main column. And we can decide later on, like, to add or remove this based on like what they clicked. Oop. View is not defined. Oh, right, because we loaded Vue down below. Wait. Why isn't view defined? Ah, yeah. What if I just load app.js here at the bottom? It'll just be the last thing we load, so we don't have to think about this. Okay. So notice that we've got a new little thing that was created, make proposal here. Let's go ahead and give that a class so we can be classy. And let's see. Make proposal here. Class equals widget. Do I have a style for widgets already? I do! There's a widget style already. This is great because I can say like, oh, what if I just want a bunch of proposal widgets? And I can just create a bunch of proposal widgets. And each widget can have access to its own data, so I think we ought to make some data for this widget. So just like before, data is a function. Because each time one of these proposal widgets gets created, it's going to run this data function to kind of create its own little personal backpack of data. And I think you need a proposal. And your proposal will probably need a proposal class. So proposal.js. Proposal.js. Here we go. Let's see if I can remember how to create a class in JavaScript. And let's see. Constructor. And let's see, what do we need about proposals? Let's see, we need the creator. This dot creator UID is equal to, and we'll just do everything. We'll do everything by UIDs. So, you know, if you create a proposal and then you want to change your username, we don't have to like go through and like change your username in the proposal. It's always just going to say, look, there exists a 1087-4XJ who is a user, and they change their profile picture and their name every day, but they're the ones that created this proposal, so we're always going to kind of remember that this proposal was created by them. And we'll go start that with undefined. And let's see. Or actually, maybe we can say, because like maybe we want to create this with a creator UID sometimes. The nice thing about JavaScript is, like, this could be undefined. It doesn't actually, JavaScript lets you call functions without filling out all of the, like, kind of paperwork for them. So if you can call this without a creator UID, and then it'll set this creator UID to undefined, so that's fine. Because, again, remember, we're setting this, and so view will have access to it. This dot title is equal to untitled proposal. I think one of the things that Linnea and I were talking about was tags, so having like a tagging system. So this dot tags is equal to no tags yet. Okay. And then, let's see, you might have other things like, you know, is this, do I want somebody to make this, or am I, let's see. Yeah, what is the term for, like, is this a thing that is going to be made, or is this a thing that I am proposing to make? So maybe I'll just say is request. This dot is request. So I can toggle request on or off. So I could write up my, and I'll probably also want a description. And no description. This means that, like, okay, I can write up my, like, title is badass tattoo, description is a cool tattoo of an eagle soaring above whatever, and then I could be like, wait, am I offering this or am I requesting this? So we will see. So yeah, like, I can do that by just, like, toggling whether or not this is a request. We'll see whether or not that, like, holds up. I really like this as a concept. Okay, now I actually have to import request. So we'll do this kind of down, put this, all of our code here. All right. Sorry, I think my monitor is shaking a little. Okay, there we go. So hopefully that will load proposals. So then we'll have access to proposals. And then when we go to create a proposal, we can say new proposal. And actually, we'll start with a no unique ID. So okay, here's our proposal here. And what if we output, what is our proposal? Hey, look, here's all the stuff about our proposal. So we have our title, our description, our tags, our requests. All that is just kind of there on our thing. And then maybe, like, finally we want a button. Actually, maybe this is a proposal editor. I bet it is. I bet this is a proposal editor is what this is. Because, like, you could make a proposal and you can edit a proposal, but those might actually just be the same UI. It's like, you always want, like, if you want people to feel creatively comfortable, just making everything feel like it's undoable. Yeah. Like, I like when my UIs present impossible things, and I have to decide whether or not that's actually a use case. All right. Okay, so here's our make proposal widget. And like whether or not this is post or save, we might want to change later. But yep, and I can like post this widget. Let's see. Okay, so you know, instead of just outputting all this stuff, I'm gonna probably make it a little bit nicer. So we'll have the title in an H3 tag. There we go. And I'll probably make that into a header. So I'll have like stuff that's like up at the top and then stuff that's like kind of down below in the content. I just like always reuse this like header content thing. I don't know if there's a proper like standardized way to do this. But almost all of my stuff has like headers and then content, so it kind of makes sense for me to just follow this pattern over and over again. So here's the title. Do a div that just contains the description. Okay, so currently no description, proposal here, and then we can do something about tags at some point. Okay, so here we go. We can remove this. Okay, now I'll want to be able to like edit stuff. So now how do I want to edit things? Click to edit is always a nuisance. Okay, so let's see. So I want, if you click on any part of this, you could edit it, or maybe I could just be lazy and be like, okay, what if there's like a little button? All right. So do I show this? Because I could just have a bunch of inputs where it's like, okay, when we're doing all this, well, okay, let's just, what if I make an input here? All right, so here's like something that I can type into. And let's say that that changes this proposal title. And we can then work on like turning this on and off. Okay. So the important thing about view inputs is that you can like listen to them, and then you can also have them reflect data, and you can do both of these at once. And that's with vModel. So vModel works with a whole bunch of inputs just automatically, as long as it's kind of like compatible data. So vModel, what are we modeling? We are modeling proposal.title. And then watch this just magically work. Untitled proposal. I don't think that's very good. I think that my title should be Surfboard Movie. So notice vModel just updates. All right, so I guess now we just want to have that like turn on and off if we edit stuff. So by this proposal title, I'm going to also make a button. that is going to say, like, edit. Is there like a pen? Universal, like, edit this button. Okay. Can I not have that on the same thing as the H3 tag? If I put it on the same line as the H3 tag, is it going to get weird? Yeah, good enough for now. Like, somebody yell at me if that's an accessibility issue. Okay. And at click, so this is a little view thing. If you click this, I want to start editing, let's see. I'll say editing equals undefined. So if you are currently not editing anything, this is undefined. I always forget how many T's there are in editing. So if you click this, I'm going to say editing is equal to, so please change the current editing mode to title. And you can't see anything because we're not currently using editing for anything. But I want this button to only appear v-if editing equals title. Oops, double equals, triple equals, all the equals, 500 equal signs. Oh, nope, that's the wrong button. I only want the input to pop up if we are editing the title. How about that? And now, how about also if I hit enter on the input, let's see, on key up dot enter, key up dot enter. What do I want you to do? How about editing is equal to undefined? So turn off editing when you hit enter. There we go. So now we have like an editable thingy, and we can kind of like reuse this in different ways. So yeah, I can actually just steal the same thing. There's probably a more elegant way to do this, but I'm going to steal this for the description as well. So there's our description. Let's see. Like, edit the description with the button. And if you do that, I want you to give me an input. Like, one negative thing about doing this style of view is that you do have this kind of like a big block of uncolored HTML text, so it's like a little, and you can't auto format it or anything. Like if I tried to do like line reindent, notice that it like does unhelpful stuff. So that is kind of annoying having these, but it does suggest to you like, okay, make your components small and kind of single purpose. Like it might be reasonable for me to make something that had, oh wait, and if editing, oops, description. There we go. And then let's say I want a text area. So type equals text area. So this will give you kind of more room to type stuff. Nope. What is input type? Input text area. Oh, it's apparently just a text area rather than an input. Fine. So I still can't like do multiple lines, so on that one maybe like you don't get to key up enter because you might want to have them typing. Oh, no, but then I don't know how I'll do multiple paragraphs. So for right now, don't worry about having multiple paragraphs on your description. But then I could say post, and now I want you to do something when we post. So, button post. Oh wait, we want to do one final thing, which is say whether or not this is a request or not. So, in the content, we've got the description, we've got the header. Let's see, where do we want to put whether or not this is a request? Maybe that can go up under header. So, like a div for all this kind of like proposal-y stuff, or sorry, for all the title stuff. And we'll make another one for whether or not this is a request. So let's see. Can I make this just a, well, I wonder if there's a good emoji for what a request would be. Like request versus, like, is this an art or is it a patron? Like, is this an offer or is this a request? I guess for right now, I'll just say, like, how about, let's see. I'll do a checkbox. We'll be cowards. Let's see. So we'll say offer if it's an offer proposal, and then we can say request if it's a request proposal. Okay. So we'll do v if. So only show this one if, let's see, our proposal dot, what do we call that? Proposal dot is request. Okay. I keep getting lost to where I am. Oh, here, there we go. Okay, dot is request. And then a v dot else. So if it's not a request, else, other, I always called it, wait, offer. There we go. So currently it's an offer, otherwise it's going to be a request. And then, no, I think I'm just going to say, if you click on this, there's probably a, like, this is not great because it's not going to be super good usability. Oh, wait, no. There's got to be a more elegant way to do this. It's going to be kind of weirdly buttony. If you click this, I'm just going to, like, switch what the proposal request is. There we go. Now I can toggle offer or request. Okay. And I can post. And this will be a little bit weird because, like, I don't know if I want to have the exact same widget for, like, also viewing a proposal, or maybe I just should make that by hand so I don't have, like, some, like, giant monster of if statements. View is great, but it is better to make simple view things rather than a giant monstrosity, like, system of view stuff. So always keep your view components simple. This is already, like, a little more complicated than it really needs to be. Okay, so here we have all of this, and now I actually want to do something when we post. And yeah, so, and honestly, let's put in some random crap. It's very sensible to have your proposal start off without a lot of information in it, except that, like, maybe it would be kind of fun if it does start off with some weird stuff. So let's steal a little, like, fake tracery thing. We're going to steal my utilities. Utilities is just, like, my thing that I have made that I use in a lot of situations because it's got, like, all the functions that I kind of want just on my utility belt. And so there's a lot of, like, test data creation. All right, so here's utilities. There we go. Here's lots of different stuff, like, you know, things that people are requesting. So people can request, so yeah, what can people request? Give them, ooh, here we go, random paragraph. So the description will be utility, or I think it's just words dot random paragraph. The thing that they're requesting. Do I have like a title? Random, yeah, random title. And we'll do random tags later. I think I don't want this to go, yeah, so here we have I want to create Come My Vexed Puzzle, and here's the description of what I am offering. So this allows us to kind of like, you know, different, I want to create sanctuary for his friendship, and it is an offer, and this is what I'm looking for. So now half of them will be requests automatically. So yeah, so now we've got some like debug data. Okay, so debug data. So now we can post it. When it posts, I should actually call a method for this. It's much more sensible to like actually have methods rather than to like put a bunch of JavaScript in here unless it's very simple. So @click post. All right, methods. There's gonna be a method called post. Let's just, for the moment, console log what we're posting. This dot proposal. There we go. We are posting a proposal. So yeah, here's our proposal. Okay. So, oh, I bet a proposal is also going to need its own unique identifier. This .uid is equal to... Where's my unique identifier generator? Or at least fake unique ID generator. Yep. Okay. So here we have this, and now we're going to post. And where do we want to post stuff? You know, I'm going to let somebody else handle this. So I'm going to say, how about io9 or io.post proposal. So please you handle like all the weird like IO stuff about this. Like I kind of don't want, maybe I could even like put all of my view stuff in a separate separate file to kind of keep it nice. Okay, so post proposal. How do you post a proposal? All right. I think IO needs some more stuff. So when I log in, I also want to say, I also want to create not only this like user ref, but I also want to create a proposal ref. So here are all of my proposals. I just want to create a reference to all of them. That's useful, and I'll say io.propref is equal to propref. So now IO has this. So IO will then like acquire this. Oh, and this is a function. Console.log this.propref. Okay. So post, and I do in fact have a property reference, or sorry, not a property reference, a proposal. Let's not be computer scientists about this. Let's actually spell things out. Otherwise, I'll keep calling the properties. All right, here we go. Proposals. All right, so we're gonna start like adding proposals to our reference. All right, new thing. We need to add stuff to a giant list in Firebase. So this is kind of tricky in Firebase because Firebase doesn't technically have lists. It just has really complicated objects that have unique identifiers. So there's a whole like separate tab here under working with lists of data. So you say, okay, how do I write to a list? All right, I say I want to get the reference.push. So let ref equals dot push. And actually, I'll make a note to do what if it exists already. Okay, so what if it exists already? Okay, so first we'll just work on the if it doesn't exist situation. Okay, so this is if it doesn't exist. Oh, interesting. You can't see when I type in the browser window. Weird streaming bugs. Okay, so reference. Okay, so we've got a reference. And then hopefully we can now set that reference. Ref.set. And we're going to need some information from this proposal. So I think that's like a proposal. The proposal should figure out what it needs to set. I'm going to say toData. Proposal, figure out what you need as far as data is. Oops, toData. What should I post as my data? Let's see. UID is this.UID. This.creator. Oops. Don't know why it always pops that up. All right, definitely title. And we might need to process the tags in some way, but for right now we'll just say this.tags.slice. So make a copy of the tags. Oh, definitely want whether or not this is a request. Alright, so this should return this kind of like, so in case we have all sorts of stuff that maybe we don't want to post on here, we're going to post like this stuff. Okay, so we're going to set this data structure. Actually, let data equals this. All right. So hopefully this will allow us now to post the foolhardy leather vase, which I would like to commission. And we're going to post. Oop, proposal ref is not defined. Aha, that is right because it is this dot proposal ref. Too bad. But I do want to commission the Jovial Steampunk Sun. Nope. Let's see. F.push, proposal.data. Okay, so that's the thing, and then ref.setData. Let's see. References this dot push. Setting the data. So what doesn't it like about that? Let's print out this data and see if there's anything weird in it. Okay, here's the data. Tags, prototype creator, undefined. Oh, it doesn't like when things are undefined. It gets weird about you posting undefined stuff, which is odd because it should just strip that out. That's okay. Let's see. And actually, like, if we're about to post a proposal, this should really be our proposal anyway. So I'm going to say that, like, when you post a proposal, because we know that, like, we have a current user, I'm going to go ahead and change this proposal, just in case you don't have user, set user, and then user. Oops, this.user. This way, in case we need to do anything fancy with it. Or like say like, hey, I already have a user and it's not this user. You're not allowed to change users on a proposal. Okay. This dot creator UID. Oh, I should say set creator. Maybe owner? This needs a refactor already. All right. So post, I'm setting the user to Kate, and then, ooh, it seemed to like that. So let's see if we've got some proposals that have appeared. Go to the console. Wait, I think I had it up, yeah, over here. Hey, we've got a new proposal. And there's all the stuff about our proposal. And you can see, like, we probably want to rewrite the UID with this UID. So we also want to say this dot proposal ref. Let's see, so the proposal, if we have a new proposal ref, we want to set that to ref dot ID? Forget. We did print out the ref, so let's see what's in there. Let's see. There was that reference. Key. No, not key. There's usually a way to get let's see. Usually a way to get that new reference UID. Oh, the key property of a push reference contains the auto-generated key. So ref.key. So proposal.uid is equal to reference.key. So that should set it to being the correct proposal. So I do want to request jubilant desire. And let's see if that has popped up. Here we go. Got a new one. Jubilant desire. And now it's got, hopefully, yep, that is our matching UID. We don't actually need to store the UID. It's kind of redundant, and just in case we change something, that would be kind of difficult. But hopefully we won't screw anything up. So we could also just say like, oh, I'm not actually going to store, actually I don't need to store that UID. So please don't store the UID. I think that's more sensible. And then I can go ahead and just delete all the proposals. Woohoo! I do this a lot when I'm developing. Just like get rid of all the data that I don't need. Right. Let us create a new proposal. Nope. There we go. Right, crimson glove. I would like to buy one crimson glove, please. Okay. Should have one crimson glove that is not a request. It is an offer. It's got a description and all that jazz. All right, cool. So we won't worry about like editing. We'll just worry about like posting new ones for the moment. So great. We can now post patrons, or we can now post things that we're requesting. So I guess the next thing is to start browsing the proposals. So at least we can like get to the browsing of the proposals, and I'll feel like we've kind of like spec'd this out. Like we still need like, we'll need to see like different ways to edit stuff, different ways to like, add maybe like contact info, maybe ways to like put your, if I'm posting something that there's maybe like user profiles as well as just like offers. So you can see like, okay, who is posting this thing? Have they like patronized a bunch of stuff? But for right now, I think just because I'm getting a little tuckered out, and I bet you are too, we're just going to start browsing things. Okay, so let's go ahead and make a new widget. What am I missing here? Oh. Okay, got some stuff and some other stuff. Okay, so we're going to search the proposals. And we're going to display them down here. All right, so we've got the editor widget, but instead now we want a browse widget. And for right now, we'll just put both of these on the screen at the same time. Like, it might be quite reasonable to have one of them turn off if we are like only doing search. We don't really need to have search and editors on the screen at the same time. Oh, actually, I will just say v if false. Just don't show that one at the moment. Okay, so now I've just got, or actually, I want to create a bunch more debug proposals. So, sure. Lots of jars. Ooh, I absolutely want a crystal bicycle. And yes, I want the biggest leather cloud. These are great. Firebell, want to buy that too. Sure, that sounds edgy, but like, let's go for it. Brass book, yes. I don't know what that is. Pearl goblet, totally. Yeah, I want an AUKUS. 100% want this AUKUS and an orange lamp. Okay, now we've got a whole bunch of different things. We've got our AUKUS and our gold lamp and all sorts of different exciting things that people might want to be buying or people might want to be creating. None of these have tags yet, so we'll not worry about tags, but I think the tags are going to be really exciting on this. Okay, I'm hoping for what if I make like an AO3 style tagging system for requesting. It's always like difficult when you're creating a new app to say like, what am I that is not currently getting served? It's like, well, why don't we just use Patreon? The thing people always say about startups is you don't want your thing to be a feature of an existing startup. So if I said like, oh, well, Patreon, what I really want Patreon to have is like a different search functionality. That's like a feature that they could implement and then your startup is like hosed. You kind of want to have an entirely other like metaphor for what's going on. So if instead of saying like, oh, you're just like Patreon except, or like you're just like Kickstarter except, I'm like, this is going to be like AO3 tagging for people like proposing and accepting offers from each other. And I think like that's kind of like pitching its own thing, and like you can't just become part of the search functionality of something that already exists. So that's why I think tagging is going to get really weird and really exciting. Okay, so now I can turn back off that editor widget now that I've got lots of grand offers on the table. V if equals false. All right, so now we're going to pitch our proposals. All right, so now we need to have a way to hear about what proposals exist. You know, if this is a site with 10 million users by next week, this will be an issue. But for right now, let's just listen to that proposal reference. So, hey, just kind of like when we listen to the user reference value, we're also going to listen to the proposal value. Let's see what we need for listening to a list. So what happens when you get changes of lists? Oh, here we go. Here's different things that we can listen for. Child added, child changed. Let's see. Can we start with value? For value events. Well, let's listen for value for the moment. and see if this does the same thing that we had before, where it gives us like the value right away. All right. Hey, Spike Patron, are there any proposals? No, because you misspelled something. Console.log, snapshot to val. Oh, here we go. Value of proposals is, hey look, there's all our proposals. All of our, invisible on this screen, but hopefully, well, it's, because it's sorting alphabetically, we can't see it, but the title is probably all of our good stuff. All right, sounds good. Let's list out all the titles that we found. Oh wait, no. We need to store these in a way that we have access to them, just like we did with the user data. So okay, so I guess when it, like, for the starting point, to do maybe just on child add. We've got, let's see, we'll say, oops, not in users, but IO probably also has, so cache proposals. So these are the ones that we have most recently seen. Well, we'll call this for the moment just proposal, like all proposals. We might want to see if there's like 100 people, like if there's 100,000 people using the site and their proposals are jumping all the time. I don't want to actually like have proposals, all of them updating. I might just say like, okay, I'm searching for tattoos, and I just want to like, you can tell me when there's new tattoo one, but I don't actually want to have like live updates for all of them. So that would be more querying logic that we won't get into today because I don't know it. So for the moment, all proposals are just an empty list. And, ooh, actually, can I just do this? So that was our proposal on value. So can we see if there's child added? Child added. Once for, oh, here we go. Once for each existing child, and then each time a new child is added. So that'll actually be more correct than doing the value, because now we can say now, every time there's a new child, we're going to add that to io dot reference, like io dot proposals dot push. Maybe you didn't notice, but this is not actually a list. This right here is an object with key value pairs. So it won't give us a list. It'll just give us an object that kind of represents a list, but like everything is stored under key value pairs. There's not really a list technically, and I hear this is also the way it is in like Lua possibly. But yeah, so we're actually going to kind of turn this thing, proposals, into a list because it's easier for us to work in data with a list. We can do filters and stuff. So we're going to push snapshot.val. Except we probably don't want that. We probably want to create a new proposal. And then we're going to load that from data. Alright, so proposal dot, well, this is getting overly complicated. We'll just have the proposals be a, like, not the object proposals. This will just be kind of like raw data of proposals. Oop, cannot io dot, oh. There we go. Alright, so here's all the proposals. Now let's make a list of them in view. So the proposal browser widget is probably going to need a list of all the proposals that it has access to. So how do we give it access to that? We could do a lot of things, but I think it's probably easiest to, or like kind of cleanest to say, hey, proposal widget, you need to have some properties, and your property of proposals, so you're going to operate on a list of proposals. And that's going to be, you're going to get that from io.proposals. This way, if we had like a bunch of different proposal lists and we wanted to have like different editor widgets, like, not editor widgets, browser widgets, working on each one, we could have different ones with different values of this. Then I have to say, hey, browser widget, you are going to be looking for, you have basically like some inputs, and that's going to be something called proposals. And let's just dump those straight to the div. Hey, look! There they are. There are all of our magnificent proposals. All right. Let's make these look a little cleaner. So, let's see. We could make like a little widget, but we're kind of running low on time, so we'll just do... No, I want to make a widget. So this will be a proposal thumbnail. And it's going to get a prop as well. So this is going to be a prop, and it's going to be the proposal. There we go. It's going to have a template. All right. So now I want to make a proposal thumbnail for each proposal in my list of proposals. This is great because we have v4. So Vue knows that you're going to use a lot of lists. Unlike Firebase, it's very list positive. So for p in proposals. So now we have a temporary variable called p that exists just for each like individual proposal, and I can say proposal is equal to p. Please pass this temporary variable in as a proposal for this particular proposal thumbnail. There we go. Now I've got individual proposals. All right, sounds good. So now we could have like these things, and we can have like maybe an h4 tag. So that'll be the like mustache proposal.title. Let's see. Definitely want the description. We'll leave it like that for now. All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Let's see. Might also want like the display name of the person who created it, but like since I don't have that at the moment, so we're just gonna like put their user ID for the moment. And what you would actually want to do is like have some nice like lookup thing on I guess like the IO object that says like given a user ID, find me the username. So proposal.creator. And I think I've got like a, yeah, detail, ultra detail. Oh, chip. Here we go. Just some classes that I use when I just want to like output some data. Let's see. Did I call it creator UID? Oh, I just called it creator. That's in these kind of like just data style ones. Yeah, so here we've got like water jar by this person. So we've got all of these. What if I want to display it differently based on whether or not it's kind of in, let's see, actually let's give this a class of card. I don't know if I've got a card. Oh. Like that. All right, so let's say for cards, you have a maximum width of 300 pixels. We'll do square like for Instagram. And then these are display inline blocks. Wow, that is ugly. There's probably a way to make that not quite so bad. But, you know, we've got something to work with. We can give them a little bit of margin. And some padding. All right. Oh, and AUKUS doesn't exist. It's one of the alien words that my generator comes up with. Sure, how about this? Is this going to magically make things look pretty? It does! It magically makes things look pretty. Okay. So yeah. No, as part of that, like, title generator, it can generate, like, random alien words in addition to just, like, everyday objects. So yeah, there's our AUKUS. I would like to purchase one AUKUS. Wait, no, we have to see whether or not we're offering or requesting AUKUSes. So, let's see. You know, I do want to just, like, quickly generate some tags. How fast? No, because then I'll have to regenerate each of these. All right. Well, how about I say that, like, the request is one of the tags. Okay, so here's our proposal thumbnail. We've got our proposal and our description, and we've got, like, something to hold our tag. And we're going to make a tag class equals chip. Chip is just like, you know, it draws a little border around things in a drop shadow. Yeah, don't worry about the browser still being hidden. We'll pay attention to the browser when we actually care about it. Hopefully it's at least visible. All right, so we've got a chip, and we want to do v for chip in display chips. And yeah. Oh wait, actually tag in display tags. There we go. And now I'm going to do a computed value that says, I'm going to make up a new value called display tags. And I'm going to create that out of, let's see, the proposal dot tags. Let's see. Start with proposal tags. Make a copy. And if this dot proposal dot is request, then tags dot push request. So we're going to just like add an extra kind of tag, else offer, and then return tags. Okay. Oop, this dot. All right, display tags is not. Oop. B for tag and display tags. Undefined slice. So this proposal didn't have tags. Why didn't this proposal have tags? Is there a proposal? Oh, for some reason I guess, oh, tags, right. Firebase doesn't store empty lists, so it'll just like not put that in there unhelpfully. Let's fake it. So this will keep it if it has it, or otherwise it'll make it empty. Where was I using chip? Oh, right, tag. All right, so now we've got some offers and we've got some requests. I might actually have like an additional one that is going to be, because I think we're going to have a lot of chip-based or a lot of tag-based UI. So I bet we're going to want some properties on this. And properties will be the tag. And we might have the proposal, so it might optionally have a proposal. And I'll show you why I'm getting kind of like into this in a moment, because that'll allow us to basically say like, hey, if you click on this tag, I want to maybe like start searching for like everything that is also a proposal. All right, so class chip, tag and tags, and then your output is just tag. So now I can say, actually, I would just like a proposal tag for each tag and display tags. And FYI, you're going to need to know about the proposal, which is me, and the tag, which is a tag. Here we go. All right, so now I can say like, hey, just as a final thing, we'll just stub this in. At click equals, let's see. Now the question is, what would we actually want to do on this? And that's going to get into kind of some like heavy engineering, but I'm just going to say like, we'll just make a click method. Where did I put? Oh, at 46. Oh yeah, I always forget to put commas. Okay. Wait, where did my? Oh, multiple root nodes. Click is equal to click. What are you complaining about? Oh, I didn't close the proposal tag. Nope. Proposal, tag is tag. Oh, that was incorrect. There we go. So now I can like click on any of the tags to say like, oh, if somebody has like a really clever tag, I want to see everybody else who has that tag. So if I wanted to see more requests, I could click on requests and see all the requests. Maybe I could like create some sort of like tag dragging thing. But yeah, that is Spike Patron. And yeah, we can create user accounts badly as long as you're all named Kate. And we can like create new proposals. So that's kind of it. We can like I can have a go at like making this little more usable. But now we've got and like having non-anonymous logins. But yeah, I think this could work. So yeah, and go out there and sell your AUKUS. So thanks so much. Thanks, Rourke, especially for being on the stream with me.